Join us here today. My name is Erin, and I'm the Education Program Manager here at Test Innovators. Our webinar today is focused on how to decipher and understand that ISEE score report. This webinar will be recorded, so throughout the webinar, feel free to type questions in the comments, and then at the end, I'll answer those questions, and we'll also review all the questions after the webinar and respond to everyone who wrote in. I know we have several different kinds of people here today, some parents, students, and families, some of whom may work with schools we work with, administrators at schools, tutors, and more. So again, if you have any questions specific to your situation, please don't hesitate to contact us after the webinar. So first, let me tell you a little bit about Test Innovators. We are the leading test prep platform for the ISEE and SSAT. As of now, we've helped over 70,000 students get into the most selective schools. Here are a few of the schools that students who've used our platform have been admitted to across the country. Let me tell you a little bit about our educational philosophy. We have spent years helping students with test prep, and based on that experience, here's what we know. Standardized test taking, first of all, is a skill that you can master. It's different from other types of tests you would take, and like all skills, you need to learn and practice in order to improve. When you've mastered this skill, you'll be able to demonstrate all of your knowledge most effectively on the ISEE. Also, we think that advances in technology make it far easier to prep for the test. Technology allows you to quickly identify your strengths and weaknesses and then provides the best tools to prepare efficiently and effectively. So these two tenets form the foundation of the tools and resources we've developed to help students prepare for the ISEE. A few of our strategies for student success come from knowledge from admissions departments, feedback from our students and tutors, and from data collected in our system. So if you reach out to us about any of our strategies, these are the sources that we're pulling from. For today's webinar then, let's move on. We're going to be talking about the ISEE score report. So after all of your work preparing for the ISEE, it can be daunting to receive the results. They're complicated, there's a lot of boxes, what do all the numbers mean? This webinar will be a guide to untangling all of the scores and symbols in your report. So let's get started. First of all, the ISEE score report includes all the information that is provided to you and to the schools after taking the test. It includes information about performance on each section of the ISEE except for the essay. The essay is unscored, and so an unscored copy of the essay is also sent to the schools. Score report looks like this, if you can see the image there, and it's broken down into two parts. There's the test profile section at the top, and then the analysis section at the bottom, and we're going to talk through each of these sections. So the test profile section shows 4 different ways of measuring your performance. There's the scaled score, percentile rank, Stanine score, and Stanine Analysis. We'll talk through all of those. Then the analysis table down below provides a detailed list of the question types, as well as whether your answer was correct, whether you skipped a question, or whether you ran out of time before reaching a question. This is valuable information to help you identify categories and strategies to work on if you plan to take the test again. So let's start by looking at the test profile section. And we'll start with the part labeled section. Then we'll talk about scaled score, then percentile rank, Stanine, and then lastly, Stanine Analysis. All right, so sections, first of all, there's verbal reasoning, reading comprehension, quantitative reasoning, and mathematics achievement. These are the 4 scored sections of the test, which are all included on a report to the schools and the families. So that's simple enough. Next, we'll talk about the scaled score. The scaled score ranges from 760 to 940 and is based on the number of questions answered correctly while taking into account whether this year's questions were easier or harder than the previous year's questions and curving the results accordingly. There is no deduction for wrong answers, so the score is fully based on the number of correct answers. All right, now let's take a look at so we talked about sections, we talked about the scaled score. Now let's take a look at the percentile rank. So unlike other tests such as statewide assessment tests or other grade level assessment tests that do percentile ranking based on a wider range of students, the ISEE determines percentile based only on the other applicants to independent schools. So as a group, these students are more likely to be academically strong individuals, so it's possible that the percentile might be lower than you're used to seeing on other tests. This percentile, of course, is range from 1 to 99. This is the measure, even though you have that scaled score there, the percentile rank is the measure that most admissions officials look at when evaluating the applications. Again, the score is from 1 to 99, but there are going to be more test takers in the middle percentiles and fewer at the very low and very high ends. All right, so we talked about section, scaled score, percentile rank. Now let's talk about Stanine. So percentile rank is related to the next measure, which is the Stanine score. Stanine score converts the percentile to a score of 1 through 9. So as you can see here, 1 through 3rd percentile is a Stanine rank of 1, 4 through 10 is a Stanine rank of 2, 11 through 22 is a Stanine rank of 3, and so on, up to that end where you have to have a 96 to 99th percentile to get a score of 9. As I mentioned earlier, most students who take the ISEE fall somewhere in the middle, and you can see with the range of how very high the percentile has to be to get a rank of 9, why that might be difficult to achieve. So the Stanine is the ISEE's special scoring system that converts the percentile to a number of 1 through 9. All right, then let me show you our last thing to look at for test profile is the Stanine analysis. Stanine analysis shows you comparisons between the verbal reasoning and the reading comprehension, and also comparison between the mathematics achievement and the quantitative reasoning. So basically, the verbal reasoning and the quantitative reasoning sections are sometimes termed ability tests. The reading comprehension and math achievement are achievement tests. You'll be able to see a range for each section. The verbal reasoning and the reading are next to each other, so you'll be able to compare those easily. And then the quantitative reasoning, math achievement are next to each other, so you can compare those easily. Overlapping bands in the Stanine analysis section show consistent results. If they're separated, that shows that they're higher or lower than their potential suggested in one particular section. So you can use the Stanine analysis to compare performance between the 4 different sections of the test. All right, so that sums up the test profile section, so that top part of the score report, excuse me. So now let's take a look at the analysis table, which comes down below. So the analysis table is broken down by section and subsection, number of total questions for each subtype of problem, number of questions that you got correct, and then the results for each question. So let's talk through each of those. So in the section and subsection, first of all, you can see, of course, the section itself, verbal reasoning, quantitative reasoning, reading comprehension, math achievement. Then below each section, the types of questions, that come underneath that section. So for verbal reasoning, they break it down into synonyms. for this particular exam, single word response and phrase response, quantitative reasoning, word problems. Reading comprehension is broken down into the 6 types of reading comprehension questions, and then math achievement is broken down into the 6 types of math achievement questions. So the analysis table is very helpful because you can see how many questions, you see there the total number of questions, then the number you got correct. So you can evaluate how many questions you got correct from each type of question. So this student here, for example, can see on the mathematics achievement section that they did quite well in measurement. They got 2 out of 2, but they missed 3 questions on whole numbers, 3 questions on algebraic concepts. So those would be a couple of places to look for more practice in if you were going to take the test again, or just to focus on in school if you're not taking the test again. So it can be helpful to find test taking strategies or just, to evaluate your learning in general. So then next to that, there's the results for each question. And there's a legend down below that shows what each of the little symbols mean there. So there's correct, incorrect, skipped, which means you didn't answer it, and then not reached, which means you didn't get to it. So as you can see, these questions are listed from question 1 from the beginning. It's in order, so 1 from the beginning of the section to the end of the section. This can be helpful for looking at time management, for example. If several of the questions were not reached, that means that you ended the section without being able to look at all of the questions. So it's important to take a look at that. All right, so that sums up our analysis table. Hopefully that was a sufficient overview of the score report, the ISEE score report. You can always reach out to us if you have any questions or comments. If you have looked at the score report and depending on your results want to take it again, you can always visit our site, ISEEpracticetest.com, where we have materials, resources, and tips for preparation. Even if you're not going to take it again, it can be useful to look and see, oh, perhaps I didn't finish everything in time. What are some time management strategies I can use for future test taking experiences? And we have all kinds of resources available. You can also always reach out. So here's my contact information. My name is Erin Lynch. There's my email. Our support team is always available for specific questions. There's that email and phone number as well. And again, as I mentioned at the beginning of the webinar, whether you're a parent, student, school administrator, tutor, or anyone else, if you have any specific questions, if you need help breaking down your score report, please don't hesitate to contact us after this webinar. And I am not seeing any questions written in, so we will go ahead and end there. Again, oh, here's one. Let's see. Again, we will always respond to you for questions afterwards as well. So we will always send an email going over any of the questions that you've asked if we're not able to get to them right now. So thank you so much for joining us today. Make sure to reach out if anything else comes up, and we will get back to you as soon as this is over. Thank you so much.